Hey, thanks for checking out the Illini Inquirer YouTube channel. If you can do us a favor, continue your support. Give us a follow here on YouTube. Hit the notifications button, hit the subscribe button. That really helps us out. We're hoping to give you more content on our video channel here, whether it's player interviews, reactions, our daily dish series where we're going to be more topical and talk about the Illini. So give us some support. We appreciate all of it. Give us a follow, hit the notifications bell as well, and subscribe to us here on Illini Inquirer YouTube.
Welcome into the Daily Dish. I'm Joey Wagner. He's Derek Piper. Derek, we're getting a little more clarity on the Illinois basketball roster. Obviously, the addition of Matthew Meyer over Memorial Day weekend. But we also saw Jacob Grandison enter the transfer portal, and it appears Austin Hutcherson will stay in the NBA draft. Let's start with Hutcherson, Derek. I mean, the kid's career at Illinois just didn't get going. Injuries, I mean, you got to feel bad for him in the sense that injuries just really stopped him from kind of getting that chance he longed for. But it kind of makes a little sense, I think, for both parties to find a different route here. But he stays in the draft. What's that mean for Illinois going forward?
I think as we've discussed his backcourt and how young it's going to be, certainly going to come with inexperience with Sky Clark, Jaden Epps. Not that if you were to slot Austin Hutcherson in that mix that you'd have a proven guy by any means, but I think it just made the most sense for him. Now, what's his pro opportunity going to look like? Hasn't played basketball in a long time, at least playing in games, but it's unfortunate. Really, the main takeaway is just unfortunate it didn't work out at Illinois, and that for all the buzz that came around the program about him and what he was doing in practice. And I know that certainly people are going to know that you got to take some of that with a grain of salt because we got to see it ourselves. And when he was available, we didn't see him for a whole lot in terms of being fully healthy. There were some flashes, whether it was open practice last fall and then a little bit in the exhibition games. And we knew he wasn't going to be a point guard. We knew he wasn't a guy that while they were trying him out in that role wasn't really a fit for him, but a guy that had talent. I mean, he had length, he had athleticism, he could finish above the rim. He was a very good shot maker at his previous stop in Division III, but just couldn't stay healthy. Had obviously the stress fracture in his back, and then had a fall in practice last year, bruised tailbone, so that kept him out for a while, and ultimately it just didn't materialize for him. So him moving on, he's been in the program for sit out year, 2, 3 years, and unfortunately didn't get much out of that. But wish him the best, and hopefully he can stay healthy for a prolonged stretch because he's a guy that's been through a lot.
And I don't know if shock is the right word with Jacob Grandison. I wonder how this all played out in terms of the time, but it's clear that he had a big impact on Illinois last year when they inserted him into the starting lineup in that 2021 year. Illinois really started to take off. Brad Underwood trusted the heck out of Jacob Grandison on the floor, but he is withdrawn from the NBA draft, has entered the transfer portal. I think it's still we're trying to figure out what to make of this a little bit. We do have to say that R.J. Melendez, Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, Ty Rodgers, Coleman Hawkins, those guys, there's some overlap there positionally with Jacob Grandison. But I wonder, Derek, how this kind of went down a little bit. And it's just given how much we know Brad put into him on the floor.
Yeah, I think two things can be true. One, that Jake was a very valuable piece to what you had going the last couple of years. We know that in 2020, 2021, when he started from mid-January on, Illinois was 14-2 and went on that crazy run, which got them to the point of winning the Big Ten tournament, being a 1 seed. And then also last year was a starter, more of a focal point. You lose Io, you lose a couple other pieces, and Jake doubled his points per game total, close to 10 a game, shot the three well. That's something that he always did. Very efficient offensive player. We knew that also he was a guy that was very willing to go to the glass and create second chance opportunities. I think as you look forward, you mentioned the names that would be in the mix with him. We haven't heard, and it's worth mentioning, we haven't heard Jake's side of this. So I think that to say just from Illinois' standpoint, in terms of the fit, in terms of the positional need, I think there is a sense of, we've talked about it, changing of the guard, letting some of these new pieces come in and really get big opportunity. And as they're going to change their style of play, I think that guys like Coleman and Meyer and Shannon fit more of that athletic, long, up-tempo type of style. Grandison, a good half-court player offensively, a guy that spaces the floor, a guy that can make some good decisions. He's limited off the dribble, and some of that I think Illinois wants to see more guys be able to create in that kind of a sense. But then also defensively, I think they could potentially dial up some pressure and then just be more positionally versatile to switch. And Grandison's not the best defender, not the most athletic guy. So I'm not saying that Illinois just completely said, Grandison, thanks for all that you've done. We're moving on. There were even conversations earlier in the spring that right off the bat, after the season ended, it said that, obviously, as you were talking about, Underwood really appreciated what he did. They talked a lot about his absence or just being not close to fully healthy in that Houston game, really impacting them, that they'd be interested in having Grandison back. Maybe he took a back seat and said, I'll just wait for the roster to kind of pan out and we'll see what that looks like. But I agree with the decision, or just kind of the mentality of, let's give Coleman bigger minutes, RJ bigger minutes. If you were to bring Jake back with Meyer and Shannon, that would kind of roadblock them a little bit. But it'll be interesting to see what Jake wants to do as far as what his transfer options are going to look like. And then also, I think playing overseas and making money for a guy that's 24, going to turn 25 by the end of next season, is still on the table for him. But I mean, even Duke is reportedly like kicking the tires on him a little bit. It would make sense that for a team that has a need for a veteran, a role player, that he could fit in for a winning team and be part of winning basketball as he was at Illinois.
And he's going to have a glowing review, I would think, from the Illinois staff. I mean, just the way you can't really fake the way Brad talked about him. I didn't get a sense that was microphone in front of me talk. I got the sense that was really authentic out of Brad and the way that he trusted him. So yeah, we'll see. Just entering the portal doesn't necessarily guarantee that he's staying in college. He's going to have options, and like you mentioned, he's 24 years old. So it's going to be interesting to follow a little bit to see where he is. But on the Illinois side of things, Derek, it's almost wrapped up. The roster, there's 2 roster spots left. We think Brad Underwood is going to carry one into the season. How are you holding up? It's almost time.
Man, after last year, we went through the assistant coach thing. I mean, nothing rivals that. So while it's been a crazy turnover of the roster and still figuring out some pieces, even as we talked today, like you said, 2 spots open. I don't think ideally you keep that. You try to fill one. There's been talk of potentially adding another option at the 5 who can play backup in that kind of a role. You lose a Benjamin Bossman for Dunk. That could be valuable. Just someone that could give you some minutes, some physicality. And while Hawkins is going to play a decent amount of 5, I would imagine now that Meyer's in the mix, just to get him on the floor. And we've seen some of those lineups in the past. He's not as physical as some of these other options. So I think that's something that they could certainly attract or look at. But yeah, I know that the staff is certainly feeling good about knowing what their roster is going to look like. And as they kind of methodically think about rotations and style of play, of course, there's a lot to play out. They want to get these guys on the floor here in a couple of weeks and see what they have, and let certain guys like Jaden Epps and Sky Clark compete for that point guard spot. And RJ Melendez, Ty Rogers. I know we give a lot of hype to RJ, which certainly makes sense for what he showed, but there are minutes to be earned. I mean, RJ, Luke, Ty, these are guys that aren't, especially Ty, because he hasn't played in college, aren't all that proven, but there's opportunity to be earning a spot, and we'll see how that all shakes out. So it's exciting to get to this point of the summer and start to hear what's going on at summer workouts. But yeah, I mean, another offseason in the new world that is college basketball, with so much freedom of movement, player movement, and a lot of transfer portal options. So it's been good. And you certainly, as we've talked about after the Matthew Meyer announcement, you got to give a lot of credit to the staff. That way they assembled another roster that should be top 3, 4 in the Big Ten. And you make an argument for them being the favorite. And I think nationally, probably not getting enough love. I know some of that needs to be proven. Like, are you going to get good freshman point guard play? Are you going to get Dane Danger to step up and play similar to what he was ranked out of high school? But I think it's going to be an exciting team. And now we're seeing close to the full picture.
We'll cover it all here at IlliniInquirer.com.